We're just going to start with some brief introductions and then we'll hand over and get the presentation going. So firstly, we want to make sure that we thank Ms. Lisa Harding, the Operations Officer at the Caribbean Development Bank, for hosting us this morning. She has definitely been a great help and assists us definitely with sharing resources, and we're very happy to have the Caribbean Development Bank behind the CTEP project. So thank you very much to Lisa. Secondly, we want to introduce Troy, the local coordinator for CTEP. Troy is going to be handling the presentation today, so just stay tuned for that because it's going to have all the information you want, and get your questions ready. We'll be ready to assist you and make sure that at the end of it all, we all know what's going on with the project. Also, we're very happy to have Shannon Clark here, who is our local entrepreneur representing Barbados. Sharon is the co-founder of CarePoint, and he's agreed to come here today to tell us a bit more about his journey as an entrepreneur, as well as what he has gone through being involved in some of these programs. We're hoping to inspire us. And also joining us is Julian Gregg. Julian, thank you so much for being here. Julian is from Carrycraft, and he is joining us, partaking in the presentation this morning, right. And he can also give you some feedback in terms of what it is to be an e-entrepreneur. And his Carrycraft is an e-commerce store, definitely that, and shipping globally, which is the most important part. Indeed. So thank you very much for joining us. Firstly, we want to start off with Shannon, who is going to wrap us up, give us a bit of information, and tell us about his experience being an entrepreneur in Barbados and what this kind of program can do for other entrepreneurs across the region who are looking to take their business to the next step.
Hi, welcome everybody to this conference and showcase launching CTEP. Now, as Lucinda mentioned, my name is Shannon Clark. I'm co-founder for CarePoint Solutions. This is a patient management solution used by doctors to follow up with their patients using automated messaging, etc. We are operating currently in Barbados and a few other Caribbean islands shortly. Now, one of the things that makes me really excited about programs such as CTEP is because I already have experience in 2 acceleration programs actually, one officially and one unofficially. This is Oasis 500. This is in Oman, Jordan, in the Middle East, as well as Startup Jamaica, most recently in the Caribbean, Jamaica in the Caribbean. What I found with both programs is that you start out initially with your initial idea or your initial concept. You may have a little bit of attraction, but really and truly with the acceleration program, the real focus is to take you to that next step. So you may be ready just to operate on a small basis in terms of a small team, maybe three or four persons, only able to serve a few customers, or maybe you don't even have a real concept yet. What acceleration program does, it takes you from wherever stage you are, whether it's your idea or you've just now figured out, okay, this is your product you want to reach. How do you actually commercialize with a few customers, or even where most people want to go to, actually getting funding from an angel investor or even a venture capital investor. And it's really important to be able to gauge where you are, but also what services that acceleration program actually provides. And CTEP is really aiming to assist with all 3 stages, fortunately for Caribbean entrepreneurs. Being inside being in both programs, and the reason why I moved from the Middle East program initially to the Jamaican program, I still found some similarities. I'm going to talk a bit about the similarities and then also the differences as well. With the Middle East program, we were going in a completely different market, which not only changes the target customer, but also the laws, the land that you already have to deal with because you're running an actual legal business. But we also were changed in terms of, but where we were, those more idea and concept versus when we eventually advanced to then working with Startup Jamaica, where we were actually making revenue at the time. Now, what we found both similar between Oasis 500 and Startup Jamaica, interestingly enough, Startup Jamaica actually received advice from Oasis 500, was that there's a structured program in terms of expectations from the entrepreneurs, but also for the entrepreneurs to have expectations of the program itself. So each week you're really expected to make progress. And you may ask, okay, progress regarding what? How do I take my idea into actually being a revenue positive enterprise. And a simple framework that's being developed rather than us trying to come up with one on our own is really the business model canvas. And this then helps you to break down, okay, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, but most importantly, how are we actually providing value to our customers and what would they pay for it? How would they pay for it? The business model canvas allows you to break down your concept from the problems you're solving, the solution you're providing, the value proposition you're actually marketing to the customer, revenue channels, as well as then the risks and the costs associated with actually providing that service. And what the acceleration is aiming to do is really to assist you to go through each section. So I'm going to stop there, and maybe then we'll be able to go over a bit more in terms of what this is going to do for you.
Great, thank you, Shannon. We really appreciate that. And yes, at the end, I'm sure you can help us field some questions. Right now, we want to hand over to Troy, the local coordinator, who is going to break down what CTEP is for us. And just as I said, just hold your questions until the end, because we have a segment for that. Troy will then let you know. So Troy, you can take it away.
Thank you very much, Lucinda, and good morning to each of you again. Let's go ahead and take a look at what CTEP has to offer. As was introduced, I am Troy Weeks, the local coordinator for CTEP here in Barbados. And today we are very excited to introduce to you this program, CTEP, which is the Caribbean Tech Entrepreneurship Program. Before we get started, again, I want to thank the CDB for supporting the program, for streaming us here in Barbados, out to you guys across the region. We also want to thank the World Bank team for their coordination and technical systems that we're using today. And further, we want to congratulate the CCIC, the Caribbean Climate Innovation Center, for rising to the occasion and mobilizing as a partner across the region. Entrepreneurs, mentors, facilitators, we thank you all for coming on board. So an overview of what we're going to cover within the next 15 minutes. We'll go through the relevant entrepreneurial stages. We'll take a look at the program timeline. We'll also go through the workshops and the mentorship activities. We'll break down the service provider agreements, and we will also cover the idea demo day, regional competition, and follow-on activities. So you may be asking the question, what is CTEP? CTEP is a technology incubation program that addresses two main problems faced by the youth in the Caribbean. One, the lack of appropriate job opportunities, which generally results in underemployment and brain drain. And we also would notice a lack of a regional strategy to promote entrepreneurship and innovation, which results in job opportunities being lost and entrepreneurial talent trying their luck elsewhere. CTEP targets the youth, that is individuals between the ages of 8 and 35 years, within the OECS countries. Those countries that we are targeting in this program include Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, including Haiti and Barbados. CTEP comprises a set of activities that are aligned to the entrepreneurial stages. And this CTEP initiative really came about from a partnership between the support of the Caribbean Development Bank and the World Bank Group working together. It is a follow-on initiative to the successful Youth Employment in Digital and Animation Industries project in Jamaica, which has proven to stimulate jobs and foreign exchange creation. More importantly, CTEP is based on direct consultation with entrepreneurs, and it fosters collaboration between partners and stakeholders within the Caribbean entrepreneurship ecosystem. One such player that I would have mentioned earlier is the Caribbean Climate Innovation Center, which is an implementing partner in CTEP. CCIC as it is known, brings a wealth of experience in accelerating and mentoring entrepreneurs and startups across the Caribbean region. So are you ready for CTEP? Are you an individual or a team who knows what problems you're trying to solve and how you want to solve those problems, but you lack the business skills and tools needed to transform that idea into a successful business? Then the idea stage is where you fit in. If you are a startup that already has a beta product or an MVP and a clear business plan, or if your startup has a well-defined team with roles and responsibilities, then the validation stage seems to be where you're at. However, if you already have a business plan with a consolidated product and a comprehensive structure, as well as well-defined processes, then chances are you are in the revenue stage. So by the end of this presentation, the entrepreneurs that are logged in, we hope that you can identify which CTEP track is going to benefit you most, because this particular arrangement in terms of organizing the entrepreneurs into tracks is a unique proposition that CTEP brings to the ecosystem. Majority of the other incubators would generally lump all of the entrepreneurs together, but CTEP, based on the research, based on the consultation, we've thought it necessary to organize the entrepreneurs into these three distinct stages and provide the resources according to the needs of the entrepreneurs at those stages. So let's take a look at the timeline. The call for applications started last year on December 12th and will run until the 10th of February 2017. During the selection process, the applications will be evaluated and the entrepreneurs and startups will be selected for the stage-specific tracks. On the 20th of February, CTEP and CDB will host a press conference to announce the results of the selection process. And this will also be used to publicize the incubator. The incubation period runs from the 1st of March until the 31st of May. Selected teams will participate in the 3-month virtual incubator comprised of stage-specific workshops, mentorship activities, and service provider agreements that are designed to reach the entrepreneurs and their markets across the region. On the 28th of April, the teams in phase 1 of the idea track will compete at the Idea Demo Day, and they'll be presenting to a panel of regional and international judges. 20 of those teams in the idea stage will advance into phase 2 of the idea track and go up to the finals, which will be the regional competition. The regional competition is where the stage-specific tracks will then present to a panel of regional and international judges, and the best Caribbean startups will be selected for follow-on activities. The following list outlines a sample of CTEP workshops that will be presented during the incubation period from 1st of March to the 31st of May. These workshops will be delivered through 2 to 3 hour long webinars, and the webinars will be archived as videos for review and playback. So why did we take the virtual approach in terms of using these webinars and using the technology? Well, that's because the virtual design fits the requirements and the constraints of the CTEP program, namely the number of participating islands, the nature of the workshop material, and the capability of the participants in the program. In addition to using the webinars for workshop delivery, a range of other technologies, including a course platform for the delivery of the virtual learning experience. We'll use emails to communicate. We'll be using file requests to upload assignments for the workshops. And we'll also be conducting brief evaluations immediately following the webinars. The following list outlines a sample of the CTEP mentorship areas for incubation. Mentorships will be blended and may involve travel and on-the-ground logistics within some of the countries. Some of these mentorship activities will be face-to-face, but majority of them will be delivered online through profiles being uploaded, video pitches, and as I mentioned before, these webinars. And similar to the workshop facilitators, the mentors will be using WebEx or some video streaming solution for the webinar delivery, and they'll be using forms to collect evaluations. And the entrepreneurs will also be using forms to generate journals of their startup activities. Another component of the incubation will be access to world-class service providers. An agreement with Upwork, for example, will provide access to free Upwork credits and technical assistance when hiring through Upwork. An agreement with Rackspace Startup Program will assist startups that already have an MVP or beta product and are ready to move that into production. An agreement with Amazon Web Services includes credits to their platform. It would also involve business support on designing your architecture and fitting it onto their web services, as well as one-on-one help. And for qualified companies, HubSpot will be a 2-year path to marketing greatness that will surely advance your startups. So if you're in the idea stage, you will be eligible for an agreement with Upwork if you advance into the finals. And there will be 20 of all of the teams in this idea track that will become eligible for these Upwork agreements. Teams in the validation track will receive agreements with Upwork, Rackspace, and HubSpot. So if you're in the validation track, you will receive an agreement with Upwork, Rackspace, and HubSpot. And for teams in the revenue stage, they will receive service provider agreements with Upwork, Rackspace, HubSpot, and Amazon Web Services. So that's the configuration of the service provider agreements. Now let me expand a bit on the idea track demo day, which, as I mentioned earlier in the timeline, will take place on the 28th of April. The CTEP idea track was designed to accommodate a number of startups in that early stage. Each team in this idea stage track will have access to specific workshops and mentorship meetups. These activities will prepare the teams for pitching their ideas at the idea demo day. Now, this idea demo day is only for the idea track, and this activity will act as a semi-finals to narrow down that track of idea entrepreneurs into a group of 20 teams who will advance into phase 2 and then access the Upwork service provider agreements that I mentioned just now. All of the teams who would have participated in the idea track from inception, even if they do not succeed to obtain the service provider agreement, they will be encouraged to continue going to the workshops and the mentorship meetups so that they can benefit from the entire program that CTEP has to offer. But they will not be eligible for the service provider agreements unless they were one of the 20 winners that move into the phase 2. The regional competition is the final activity for all of the teams and all of the tracks. This regional competition will see up to 60 teams from across all of the tracks competing. Each team that has participated in at least 8 out of the 12 planned workshops and mentorship activities will have an opportunity to compete in this regional activity. So before the deadline for this regional competition, teams and startups will be encouraged to upload their latest business models, pitch decks, video pitches, and so forth for judging. A panel of judges will remotely review those submissions, and they will judge the teams according to selected criteria. The winners of this regional competition will then go on to access the follow-on activities. 10 startups from the idea track will advance into Startup Jamaica Bootcamp. That's one of the winnings coming out of the regional competition. 5 of these idea startups will be fast-tracked into Digital Jam 4.0. For the validation track startups, 15 of them will be fast-tracked into the Digital Jam 4.0 finals, and 5 of those startups will also gain access to the Caribbean Geeks on a Plane initiative. And finally, from the revenue track, startups, 5 startups will gain access to the Caribbean Geeks on a Plane initiative. And these are the follow-on activities that the entrepreneurs and the teams will be eligible to once they succeed in that regional competition. So in conclusion, we would have covered the relevant entrepreneurial stages. We broke down the timeline. We gave an overview of the workshops and some of the topics that will be held in those workshops. We outlined the mentorship activities and some of the areas that those mentorship activities will cover. We went through the service provider agreements, spoke about the idea demo day, and explained how that particular demo day only pertains to the idea track, and it is used to narrow down the idea track into semifinals. And we also spoke of the regional competition, from which we will select the best Caribbean startups and then provide for them the follow-on activities that we just mentioned. At this time, we will open up the floor for questions, and we hope that you guys have lots of questions from across the region. We're going to attempt to moderate those questions. We will open up the audio. I would hope that everyone would be listening so that we do not have repetition of the questions unnecessarily. However, if you're unclear, please feel free to ask the question over if necessary. So now we open up the floor to field your questions.
Yes, please go ahead with your questions. We're listening.
Yes, we will be able to disseminate the slides to the hubs, and the hubs will then be able to disseminate the slides to the participants. We also encourage you guys to visit the website, which is www.ctep.tech, where you will be able to find some of the information that was included in the presentation. And we will be updating that website as the program goes along.
Hello?
Yes.
we can hear you.
In terms of the demo day in April and the date in June, are these activities done via online, or is it an in-person activity?
Okay, thanks very much for that question. In terms of the workshops and the mentorships activities, the idea track demo, and the regional competition, majority of these activities will be virtual. The idea track demo, as I said, the teams will be going through the workshops and the mentorship activities. They will have assignments. Some of those assignments will help them to develop their business models and the pitch decks, which they will then upload as their submissions to the judges. Okay, and these judges will then sit remotely, provide their feedback, rate the entrepreneurs according to prescribed criteria, and then the collation of those results will determine which teams advance from the phase 1 of the idea track into phase 2. And the regional competition will be judged similarly. There's a slight difference in the sense that the criteria that will be used in the regional competition will be different, because now the regional competition will pertain to the idea, validation, and revenue stages. So we will have new criteria that will highlight aspects that the validation and revenue stage entrepreneurs should be able to meet.
We have a question here from our Facebook live stream. Anton would like to know, for the revenue track, is it a requirement for the business to be incorporated?
For the revenue track, the business can be incorporated. And remember I was describing some criteria that would allow an entrepreneur or a startup to determine which track would be relevant to them. So if the startup is already incorporated, already has some paying customers, already has a team and staff and so forth, then chances are they will be in that revenue stage. And the revenue track will be the one that we would encourage them to register for.
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Yes,
I have
please.
a question.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Philip from St. Lucia there. I would just like to ask, okay, for this round of the program, would you be able to present an idea that you have already presented in a different forum?
That is a very good question. CTEP is open to all entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs across the region. Actually, I'm going to bring up the eligibility criteria here. As long as the entrepreneur meets these criteria, they become eligible to apply. If they would have, let's say, pitched that startup 100 times before, chances are they will not be in the idea stage track. They may be in validation, but they can still apply to the relevant track.
Okay, well, I just noticed something on what you just put up there. I've just been disqualified because of my age, but hopefully, like Nathaniel, I could be a mentor to somebody somehow. I just noticed I've just been disqualified.
That I'm sorry to hear that you have disqualified yourself by probably being born a little too early. But yes, these are the criteria, and if there is, let's say, a majority of the team that meets this criteria, that may be able to take weight, and the youngsters, that's the ones that we're really trying to encourage to participate in the program. They will still be able to participate as a team.
Hello, I have a second question. I was completing the registration form and it showed you need to submit 3 ideas. Now, I have an idea that's probably in the validation stage. If I supply 2 more ideas in the idea stage, can I apply with all 3 ideas and apply to the various levels? Let's say have one for idea and one for validation, or do I go forward with just one idea?
No, that's a very interesting question. The form makes provision for multiple ideas to be entered. And the reason why we did this is because, you know, some entrepreneurs may have multiple ideas that they wish to work on, but on our end, we're going to carry out a selection process. And we will determine which ideas seem most viable and most likely to succeed according to the criteria that we will use. So chances are you will, if you submit 3 ideas, you will be selected for your best idea as opposed to all 3. So I hope that is clear, but we are encouraging you to submit your multiple ideas. It's just that it will be subject to our evaluators to determine which ideas we think are the ones to advance through the program.
Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Question, Troy. Can you elaborate on the follow-on activities, the Startup Jamaica Bootcamp, Digital Jam, and Caribbean Geeks on a Plane?
Sure.
Because I'm not aware of the details of those programs.
Okay, so this is the slide to which Julian is referring, the follow-on activities. And actually, I have a slightly different arrangement of that slide. Let's take a look at it from this angle. So here are the follow-on activities per track. For the idea stage, guys, we have 10 startups that will advance into the will advance into the Startup Jamaica Bootcamp. Startup Jamaica is an accelerator that was developed in Jamaica, coming out of the same Digital Jam earlier iterations.
Okay.
And they were positioned there to be able to accelerate, incubate some of the entrepreneurs from across the region. Shannon, as he mentioned earlier, would have been a participant in the Startup Jamaica Bootcamp. Okay, and I'll ask Shannon to just expand on these said activities when I'm finished. The Digital Jam 4.0. This particular activity is one that the World Bank, along with some other partners, would have pushed out across the region. It went through the first iteration and is now up to the 4th. Okay, this would involve app competitions, keynotes on different hot topics in technology and so forth. And the focus here again is employment for Caribbean young people, as well as to expose them to the virtual economy, right? So, and also this Digital Jam 4.0 also brings together the entrepreneurs along with potential investors, who will then be able to take them to the next level. In terms of the Caribbean Geeks on a Plane initiative, this particular follow-on activity is it is similar, and it's being formatted in line with what 500 Startups has been able to do. This is where they would invite top class entrepreneurs to go on a tour to different locations. The next Geeks on a Plane that 500 Startups is going to be running is going to be going to Africa, where they're going to touch down in 4 different locations, spend about 2 weeks visiting these hotspots. And what they will be doing is that they go and they visit industry players, go to their headquarters, get a feel for what the space is like in that particular locale. And again, I'm going to ask Shannon to just go ahead and kind of explain a bit of this from his experience.
Okay, yeah. Unfortunately, I never got the opportunity to do something that Geeks on the Plane. Man, that's awesome. So I am really, really jealous of people who are going to get involved in this. But this is an amazing opportunity that I could mention. CTEP. Now, with regard to Startup Jamaica, what we really focused on was the business model canvas, which is indeed part of the CTEP program. And essentially, boot camp was a focus exercise, 2 or 3 days, where persons were able to come in with their concept and actually have it broken down directly by mentors and subject matter experts within, obviously participating within the Startup Jamaica program. You were then actually partnered then with a mentor who would then assist you during the boot camp itself to then prepare yourself for your pitch. Now, it's really important to consider that for the idea stage, you really don't have any proof that what you're going to do is actually going to work. So it's really important for yourself as a business, as well as for your customers and even for potential investors, is to show why you are the right person to actually do this, to actually execute on this idea, and also why this idea is even important, and even more so, why can it potentially, if a product is developed, fit within the existing market. So Startup Jamaica focused on all those categories, and by the end of it, everyone was able to actually leave there with a fleshed out business model canvas and a way forward. So most persons had a 3-month plan that they could then execute on, as well as they were paired with a mentor. And that's exactly what's going to happen in CTEP. This, in my opinion, is a program that no entrepreneur within the Caribbean should miss.
Thanks very much, Shannon. Are there any other questions?
Hi, yes.
Yes, please, go right ahead.
As I'd mentioned in the actual chat, that it's a great opportunity and looking forward to being in a mentorship role. And you did cover about if the majority of the team members are within the age requirement, and that's great. And my question is, now if you're a startup that's already generating revenue, like you mentioned before, that they can sign up for the revenue stage, but if they're a startup and they would like to sign up or register for the idea stage because it might be a new industry that they're going into, would that be possible for them to do that?
Yes, that would be possible. The entrepreneur at the end of the day is the one, the entrepreneur or the team, sorry, is the one that will determine which track they apply to. And they would know why they're applying to the specific track. We're simply here to guide you as to the track that may best suit your position where you're at. But it's going to be up to you guys to determine where you want to position yourselves.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have one more question, and it's in relation to the application process and preparing your pitch or ideas to be presented for the preliminary judging. Now, will there be a workshop or seminar, whether online or in person, to help prepare potential registrants on the application process?
Okay, there will be no such webinar. However, I think that I can do that right now. So I want you to just follow me on the screen. I'm going to walk you through the registration process. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the CTEP website. Of course, I cannot scroll it because this is a screenshot, but this is where you will arrive when you type in ctep.tech. You just click on that yellow register online button, and that's going to scroll the page automatically down to this part of the website, which will identify your 3 tracks according to the stages, and you will click on the appropriate register now button. In this instance here on the screen, the green arrow is indicating that an entrepreneur or a startup that is in the revenue stage, they will click on that particular register now button. After clicking on that button, you will be redirected to a form where you will complete this form with the relevant information. It is very explicit in terms of what it is asking for. And then when you hit the done button here in this form, that's it. Your application has been submitted and you're now eligible for the selection process within the stage that you would have applied. And if you're finding yourself challenged in any way, you may contact us. And this contact us form is found at the bottom of the website. So any queries, pop them in there and we'll be able to send you a response as soon as we can. And hopefully that will constitute any support and assistance that may be needed for the completion of the registration. I hope that answers your question. And I hope that you would have been paying close attention to those 4 steps, which really constitute how to register for CTEP.
Yes, thank you. It was actually for the technically challenged, and I will be able to assist them with the process because I will just have to go and assist them with the process.
Thank you so much for your assistance. And again, any mentor that may be on the line, this information is also relevant. You may wish to relate to entrepreneurs that you know have something that will be viable or could potentially succeed. Please go ahead, and if you have to assist those entrepreneurs to get registered, 4 steps. Thank you.
We have a question from Antigua. Hi, Antigua on the line. Yes, go ahead with your question, please.
What is Antigua's name so I can unmute them?
Okay, thanks very much for that question. I may have to ask you to repeat, but these are the eligibility criteria. It has to be some technology based system. It could be something as simple as a mobile app, a web application. It could be, let's say, an e-commerce platform. It could be some device that is built out of sensors, more hardware driven. It could be something that is related to climate innovation. As long as there's a technology component to the startup, it is eligible. And the countries is another criterion. Once the startups are from these particular countries, then they are eligible. And remember, the entrepreneurs should be savvy enough to pitch their solutions to fit the eligibility criteria and maximize your potential of being selected. So for instance, if you have a solution that is made up of 3 components, where you have some web-based platform that talks to a mobile app that also talks to some hardware that is located outside of the system, mention all of that in your one bundled solution, because then you will have a pretty heavy submission. More than likely, you will be able to edge out another team that may just come with a simple something, a simple mobile app or something.
Thank you. We have any more questions on the line?
Not really. I would just like to say I'm very excited that Shannon is part of this, and we got.
Okay. Please, we just had an overlap. I'm going to ask the person who was speaking first to just start over. Please repeat. So the Caribbean Geeks on a Plane is going to comprise Caribbean entrepreneurs and startups, but the intention is to have them to visit some of the international destinations. More than likely, it will be in North America, but I am not certain as to the destinations as yet. We're also trying to see if we can link up with diaspora markets from the Caribbean while we're out there. So it will be Caribbean entrepreneurs, but that does not necessarily mean that the Caribbean Geeks on a Plane initiative will be limited to Caribbean destinations. Chances are it will be open to international level destinations. There was someone with a second question. You may proceed at this time. Okay, we do not have anyone on the line right now asking a question. Is it fair to assume that we've covered all bases?
Hi, just one more thing. I just pasted some really helpful resource in the Chats to Everyone page. It's actually a resource with the collaboration with my old alma mater, which is City College of New York. They have actually started an entrepreneurship program, and I am one of the members who was able to spearhead that within the university. But this is a resource that was encouraged to share to any entrepreneur, young entrepreneur out there, is a 3-month free Extensio Pro membership. For those who are familiar with pitch deck and the lean startup, the lean business model, the business model canvas, user personas, startup one-pagers, and the like. This is a web platform that will enable entrepreneurs to utilize those pitch decks, templates, and present them online via able to share with anyone and collaborate as well. So I just wanted to share that information for those who are interested in utilizing it. We do conduct workshops on how to fill these templates, prepare them, and be able to present them for pitch decks, as well as for your idea stage, or if you're looking just to have the SWOT, or the strength, weakness, and opportunities and threats decks as well. Great opportunity, great resource.
Thank you so much for being so kind. What I will do, I'll encourage the participants who are on the call to take a look at the chat window and see if you can get started with that program. I am not endorsing the program because I have not tried it out on my own, but I will say that we encourage this type of sharing and collaboration among the entrepreneurs within the program. And if you come across resources that you think may benefit others, this is something that we would encourage you to do. Go ahead and share. And we thank you very much for being so kind.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, we just one last chance. Any more calls? If not, we're just gonna wrap up and let you all go. Okay, but just to repeat what Troy, sorry, go ahead.
Was that a question? Sorry. Okay, this is the group from St. Lucia. You were unable to hear us, but you can hear us now.
Yes. Good morning, sir. So for
Antigua, and we can't hear because the feedback from St. Lucia's mic, it just.
Okay. Well, we apologize for that. And what we can say is that there will be a video presentation of this material. And once it is live, we will be distributing that to the hubs. We will also make it available on the website and the social media channels. I encourage all of you at this time to go ahead and take down the website, which is located in the bottom right. Actually, I'll put it in the big center right there. Go ahead, register now, register today. This is the website. We are also on social media. Once you go to the website, you'll be able to follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And at this time, I am going to say my final words and then turn it over to Lucinda. I would like to thank each of the hubs for being able to pull together your groups within your different countries. In particular, I would like to especially thank Ms. Telly Onu from the St. Kitts and Nevis hub for the Climate Innovation Center. This is Telly's work that we're using here as the backup. And here we can see there are 20 participants who are on this feed. So thank you again, Telly, for pulling that solution out of the bag and making sure that it was ready to work. I also would like to extend thanks to the project manager of the CCIC team who has been working tirelessly with us to ensure that the information is disseminated to the various hubs across the region. And again, thanks to the CDB, Lisa, as well as the World Bank Group, Fabio, Carmen, Ivan, and all of the others who work behind the scenes to make this all possible. In the room, I would like to thank Mr. Shannon Clark for coming and sharing of his experience. Brilliant engineer whom we expect great things of in the future. I would also like to thank Mr. Julian Gregg for coming and also sharing with us, as well as asking the insightful questions that he did. Lucinda, I would also like to thank you as your teammate, and I now turn it over to you to bring this meeting to a conclusion.
Thank you very much, Troy. And all I can really do is follow on from what you said, because I also want to thank all the helps for participating, coming together, making it happen. We really could not have done it without your participation. Lisa, thank you so much. We really appreciate having the Caribbean Development Bank behind us. And thank you so much for sharing your resources readily and always being open to give me your suggestions. Really appreciate that. We want to thank Julian again and Shannon for being here. It's always better when we have people with experience that can give us some pointers. And thank you guys so much for being here. And we know that we'll be drawing more on your resources as the project is fleshed out and as we get those applications in. Again, please register now. The countdown is on. There's a live countdown on the page. Speaking of the page, I have to thank Troy for making all of our tech end of the CTEP functional, working, very adaptive. Your questions can easily be answered. You go to that contact form. Troy is available to make all that possible. So thank you very much. And again, thanks to CCIC, Mr. Burlington, who I'm sure I'll be in contact with soon. But you guys all know him, and I'm very grateful to know him now. So thanks to him, definitely. Thanks to the World Bank Group, everyone for putting this together. And we will definitely be in touch with you via email. And as Troy said, we're definitely available via email, contact form, on social media. We want to have your questions, and we'll definitely get back to you promptly. So again, thanks for your time. Any follow-ups, feel free to go through the channels, and we are looking forward to seeing all of your applications in. Before February 10th. Sorry.
Sorry, we have some questions coming in from the St. Lucia CSI. They didn't have an opportunity to ask questions. So would you like to take them now quickly before you wrap?
Of course we will. Thank you for identifying that.
Okay, so one question is it possible for someone with no ideas yet, but a passion for technology to get training and assistance through the workshops? That's one question. Or is it only for people with ideas already?
Okay. Let's go ahead and tackle that question.
Okay.
The answer is you need to be able to complete that form that is on the website. And even though you may not have a well-articulated idea, you should be able to put something relevant in that form. And if you're unable to do so, that is proof that entrepreneurship is much more than passion. It is also creativity. It is also thinking outside of the box. It's thinking on the spot. It's being able to do whatever is necessary in order to make it to the next step. And in this case, you have to complete that form. So we'll be looking forward to any idea, even if it's an idea that hasn't been implemented to date. So please complete the form to the best of your ability.
Okay. Thank you, Troy. The other question is, can someone register alone or must it be in teams?
Another good question. So we have provision for individuals to be able to register, again, using the form. The form has some required fields, and then other fields are optional. In the case of the team members, some of those fields are optional. So where it is optional, you may enter just one person. However, CTEP, the developers of the program, recognize the importance of a team as it relates to the success of entrepreneurs. And we're therefore encouraging entrepreneurs to be in cross-disciplinary teams. And what I mean by that is, instead of having a team of just say 3 graphic designers, or a team of 3 computer programmers, or a team of 3 marketers, we think that teams should cover a range of disciplines. Okay, and we're encouraging that. So we would rate a team that comprises, let's say, a marketer, a programmer, and someone who has business savvy. That team would be rated higher than an individual for certain. Therefore, we're encouraging our persons to partner if necessary and bring the teams as opposed to individuals. However, that does not rule out an individual making a submission.
Thank you, Troy. I hope that answers your question. Another question is, what should a retired teacher and consumer electronic engineering technician do with all his ideas?
I know that we may have some persons in the room who fit such a criteria, but yes, again, you are supposed to be smart enough to look at the program, consider what we would have said in this conference call, and determine which of your million ideas are the best and which 3 are you willing to put forward into the program in order to succeed and be selected. Remember, you can submit your 3 ideas and still not be selected. And that would indicate to you that you need to do something with the way you present your ideas. So it's not the quantity of ideas, but more so the quality of your ideas. And that's what we would tell those brilliant engineers and innovators who are sitting out there on top of their intellectual gold mine.
Okay, thank you, Troy. And then last question, must everyone within the team be under the age limit, as Vincent?
So that's the question, and that one is a little tricky to answer definitively. What I can say is that we will honor the fact that a team that has majority members fitting the age criteria, that team definitely should stand a chance. And if there is a person who is, outside of that age range, we would encourage that person to maybe adopt a role of mentor to the team, where they can continue to work with the team through the incubation process, but that does not exclude the younger members of that team from benefiting. And I'm sure that if they were to be in the same room with their colleagues when we have the workshops and so forth, and these elder persons can access the information, we're not going to prohibit that. But again, we would not expect a team that is made up of 40-year-olds to submit and expect that they're going to advance.
Thank you, Troy. And I think that's it for questions. Everyone asked about the recording. Yes, I have been recording it, and hopefully, as long as Flo cooperates, we may be able to, I could get it back to you today. So let's see when we can get it uploaded onto the drive. All right.
Excellent, Telly. And thank you again so much for doing what you did in terms of having that alternate stream available. Thank you also for moderating the session there on your end, fielding those questions from the others who are experiencing difficulties. We also would have videotaped here in Barbados, which would have a pretty high definition, and they're already off editing the video. So we will definitely rely on Telly to disseminate what she would have created, but just to give you a heads up that there will be an additional video that will be coming following this webinar. All right, thanks once again, and we are about to sign out.